So you run a business, and you probably think you've got a handle on the difference between an employee and a contractor. But what if I told you there's this huge gray area, and inside that gray area are two other types of workers that could totally change how you do payroll? Let's dive right into this payroll gray zone.
You know, we all start with the two big ones, right? On one side, you've got your employee. You're the boss. You tell them what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Simple. Then, on the other side, you've got your independent contractor. They're their own boss. They control how the work gets done. Pretty black and white, you'd think.
But what happens when someone doesn't fit neatly into one of those boxes? You know, the person who's kind of sort of a freelancer, but also really integrated into your team. That's the tightrope. And honestly, it's where a lot of businesses end up losing their balance. And that blurry in-between space, well, that's what we're calling the payroll gray zone. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the hidden worker categories that are living right there. Okay, so let me ask you, how many main categories of workers are there, really? If you said 2, you're not alone, but you're missing half the picture. There are actually 4. Yep, 4. And the 2 you've probably never even heard of? They are the ones that can make or break your tax compliance. So here they are. We've got our familiar faces, the employee and the independent contractor. But then we have these 2 other classifications, the statutory employee and the statutory non-employee. Sounds like legal jargon, I know, but let's break down what these oddballs really are. Okay, first up, the statutory employee. The best way to think about this person is as the ultimate hybrid worker. They kind of look and act like an independent contractor, but for some key tax purposes, they get treated like an employee. So here's the official word on it. A statutory employee is basically an independent contractor who doesn't pass the usual tests to be an employee, but a federal law, a statute, has stepped in and said, for our purposes, we're going to call them an employee. It's the government basically saying, close enough. So who exactly are we talking about here? Well, Congress was very, very specific. This special category only applies to 4 types of workers. We're talking about certain kinds of drivers who work on commission, full-time life insurance salespeople, certain traveling salespeople, and people who work from home doing piecework, like, say, assembling products at their kitchen table for one company.
But wait, it's not enough to just be in one of those jobs. To officially be a statutory employee, 3 other things have to be true. 1, they have to do the work themselves, personally. 2, they can't have a big financial investment in their own equipment. And 3, they have to have an ongoing relationship with the company. All 3 of those boxes have to be checked.
Now, if you thought that was a little strange, brace yourself for this next one. This one is a genuine paradox, the statutory non-employee. This is where someone who looks, walks, and talks like an employee is, for legal purposes, treated as an independent contractor. Yeah, you heard that right. These are workers who, under all the normal common law tests, would absolutely be your employees. But Congress has passed a specific law that says, nope, for tax purposes, they are independent contractors. It is a direct legislative override of what seems like common sense. And just like with the last category, this special status only applies to a very small, specific group of people. We're pretty much just talking about 2 professions here. Direct sellers, think of people who sell products door-to-door or at in-home parties, and qualified real estate agents. And for someone to qualify for this special status, 2 things are non-negotiable. First, almost all of their payment has to come from sales or other output, not from the number of hours they work. And second, and this is the big one, there has to be a written contract that clearly states they will not be treated as an employee for federal tax purposes.
Okay, so we've defined all 4 of these categories. But let's get to the real question. Why does any of this actually matter to you and your business? What's the bottom line? Well, it all comes down to one simple, powerful 3-letter word: tax. How you classify someone completely changes who pays what to the government.
And this table here really breaks it down. Look at the statutory employee. They're treated like a regular employee for FICA taxes, that's your Social Security and Medicare, but you don't withhold federal income tax from their pay. Now, look at the statutory non-employee. They are treated exactly like a regular independent contractor for all federal tax stuff. No FICA, no FUTA, that's federal unemployment, and no income tax withholding. They are on their own for all of that.
Look, getting this wrong is just not an option. If you misclassify a worker, even if it's an honest mistake, you could be staring down a mountain of back taxes, huge fines, and some really serious penalties from the IRS. So understanding this gray zone isn't just some interesting legal trivia. It is absolutely essential to keeping your business safe and sound.
And that really just leaves us with one final and really important question for you. Now that you know about this payroll gray zone, I want you to take a hard look at your team.